Hello little dudes, it is I, Matt Installaker, your host, and I am back with a video review of the recent Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to be clear about why this video was late, I guess. Well, I started playing on Friday the 20th instead of launch because I wanted to give the game my undivided attention, and since it's fall break, this would be the perfect opportunity to just sit down and play for a while. Also, I wanted to get 100% district activities completed so I could review the full game instead of just its campaign. With that being said, this video is just about the campaign and my thoughts about through playing with it. And without further ado, I am proceeding to go in depth of my opinion, the best game of 2020, Spider-Man Miles Morales. We're gonna start at the beginning. Instead of the crazy jump into action the first game gave us with Pete rushing out of bed, putting on his suit, and leaping out the window to defeat Fisk, Miles gives us a slower beginning and lets us be him for several minutes. He's on the train listening to some music and kinda just chilling. He gets off and we get to see the neighborhood. Immediately, I was amazed by the detail in Spanish Harlem, between people actually doing stuff and the street art all around. I don't want to sound like some philosophist or Yoda figure, but my favorite interaction in this whole game is right here when Miles helps a guy we don't even know lift some furniture into the truck.
Gracias, chico.
De nada. That is so cool.
I was almost blown away by this because we never got to see anything like this in the first game. We were always too busy throwing motorcycles at convicts or beating up endless demons. With Miles, he was helping, and I actually think that's the core theme of this story. We all need help sometimes, and the fact that Miles' first actions we see in the game are helping meant so much to me. After meeting Haley Cooper, we stopped by Tio's, and I wanted to mention something that even I didn't notice until somebody, meaning High Top Films, pointed out. That Miles does have a similar beginning to Pete's story, because in Spider-Man PS4, Peter has to choose to do something good for himself or something that could better the city, and that being pay the rent or take down Fisk. In Miles has to choose to get the groceries for his mom or to follow the convoy and make sure the city is safe. Just let that soak in. At the age of 17, Miles Morales is already learning what it takes to be a hero. I know a lot of people will say the biggest reason Miles chooses to monitor the convoy was that he was eager and energetic. And they could be right, but throughout the rest of the story, that changes. By a lot. By the end of the Rhino battle, Miles learns that he has to dial down the energy and eagerness because it can harm him or worse, civilians. I don't know about you, but this felt almost haunting in a way. He could have killed innocent bystanders with his reckless actions. It felt like Peter knew this, but he didn't want Miles to feel that way because in the end,
You saved my bacon, Miles.
you go home and you get to experience joy. This was the first time I felt at home whilst playing a game or even a movie. Abuela's apartment was cozy and homey. I loved being here and looking through all the little interactable items. Next, we meet Finn, Miles' friend from middle school. I love how Finn says Miles went to Brooklyn Visions for high school, but throughout most of Spider-Man PS4, he wears a Midtown High shirt, and then in the remastered, they just changed this. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. I am definitely not going to go over every mission in this game because, come on, we all know how YouTube works. But now, we must meet Uncle Aaron. This interaction felt so heartwarming, especially since he said he had to make some changes since his brother's passing. I cried a little when this happened. Now, a lot of it was because in Spider-Man PS4, Uncle Aaron is actually, I guess, visible in the Jefferson Davis funeral. He's sitting in one of the chairs while it rains. This felt so great, knowing how it felt from someone else's perspective. I guess having him say that was like a payoff 2 years in the making. After this, you know what? I'm just going to skip to the middle and end because that's the part I want to talk about. And hopefully, if you're watching this, you have already played the game. And if not, well, what are you waiting for? Anyways, At the end of the game, we get to experience what it was like for Miles before his powers, before you were crawling under shipping containers playing Chase of Goose or hacking stupid drones so you could get to the homeless shelter. You could experience more fun. More of the happy times, if you please. Then you bump into Peter Parker. The person. It's funny how the first time you meet your mentor who teaches you and bestows you on the path of beating up guys who steal tech, you steal tech. Then you get your kicked by Finn, and you beat up more Roxxon guys, more Daft Punk enthusiasts, you know the sitch, and boom, you get your kicked by Finn until you have to save her. You end up taking off your mask. If you were using the Spooderman skin, and I'm being serious, you probably ended up taking off your head. You see your city is on the brink of collapse, and the only way for New Form to go off safely, or less unsafe, I guess, is if you absorb it and venom burst yourself. You're too weak to crawl up the building or anything, and you don't want the people to see you. This is where I started sobbing my off. He was going to die, and it felt like the main antagonist was crying too. This was rock bottom. I mean, things were really bad. As I said, I was just bawling. She, meaning Finn, held Miles. It was the most emotion I had felt in a superhero movie since, Guardians 2, which is on my top 5 MCU flicks. Anyways, she was holding him. She flew off into the sky with him and she died. I'm gonna say something a lot of people disagree with, but Spider-Man Miles Morales is about Finn. It's almost like in the Michael Keaton Batman movies where the villains are the main characters and Batman is a spectator through it all. The game is driven by Finn. It introduces a new character, gives her a motive, fleshes out her story, or at least the most important parts, and shows her journey from a good guy who makes bad actions and lets her grow into a hero who saves the city. Her ultimate sacrifice saves it. Saves Spider-Man. No, not this Spider-Man. The real Spider-Man, we all know. And the most emotional sequence in the whole story, again in my opinion, is the people helping Miles. After they see who the kid behind the mask is and they see that he is their own Spider-Man. Anyways, they promise that his secret is safe with them. And it matters a lot that Haley Cooper, who seems like Miles has a crush on, obviously, gives him the mask, and his mom, the person who loves him most, puts it on him. She embraces the fact that her son is the protector of Harlem. By putting on that mask, she accepts and embraces her son, who is, and forever will be, Spider-Man.
You're listening to a young age